You're listening to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a business coach for online health coaches who want to attract their ideal clients, stop feeling defeated by their never-ending to-do list, balance a healthy lifestyle with their growing business, and stop overanalyzing what everybody thinks of them so that they can confidently own their message and online presence. On this podcast, we dive deep into health information you can share with your clients, business strategy tips, and more. Let's get to it. Guess what? I have a new training for you. It is my free Overwhelm Masterclass and cheat sheet. And when you leave a written review on iTunes on the Health Coach Nation podcast and you email info@haileyrowe.com with the subject line podcast review and a screenshot of your review, I will email you the free Overwhelm Masterclass and Overwhelm cheat sheet. So I cannot wait to share it with you, and thank you so much for being a listener on this podcast, sharing your valuable time with me. And now let's get into the episode. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. We are here today with Arielle Hope, and she is an amazing entrepreneur. She has many different passions, and I think it's going to be great for all of our coaches, life coaches, health coaches, etc., to hear your story and about your podcast, Her Brave Initiative. So I'll let you kind of open up the show by sharing a little bit more about what you do, and then we'll talk more about how can we get out of our own way as female entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Hailey. It's a pleasure to be here on your podcast. I really enjoyed getting to know you, speaking with you, hearing more about your business, and am absolutely happy to be on this podcast with you. So to start out, I am a passionate eco-tourist, and I host retreats quarterly, and I'm also working on a podcast called Her Brave Initiative. And I help real-life Wonder Women pioneer their family legacies. So when it comes to mindset, it's imperative when we start businesses, when we have our own businesses, to know when to dodge and when to create something, when to initiate something. What are the different speed modes that you have to be in as an entrepreneur? Sometimes we have to sprint. Sometimes we have to pause and wait and be very mindful. So what I do is help women transform their lives by really looking at what their habits are daily in their business and what the approach is to whatever project they're pursuing. So with me and the way that I teach, there isn't one step for each person. I'm very interested in creating a customized plan for every individual entrepreneur that I work with. And so one way we do this is to figure out any stop blocks that you're currently experiencing as an entrepreneur. So for example, in the health realm, in the health field, there's a huge market for all kinds of creative ways to offer yoga, to offer meditation, to host retreats, to design facilities, whatever it is that your heart desires. The online space is great for bloggers and YouTubers and all of this in the space, especially right now in the economy and the current world state that we're in. We actually need more people who will step up, not just from a standpoint of I am a woman and I am strong and I can, do all things on my own. That's all excellent, and I encourage that. And I too try to stand with that inner strength. However, this time more than ever, I think, in probably most of our lives, if we're in our 20s or 30s, we need to find ways to really create this inner evolution, I'd like to call it. And it requires really a lot of reflection and some tapping into your own femininity, because there's a call for healing right now in a lot of areas. And big executives, people who are doing very well as entrepreneurs, even they need time to really sit back and do some yoga, do some meditation, do some reflecting, journaling, and all of these healing arts. So to initiate something like this is a part of the movement I think that we're really moving into as a society as a whole.
Yeah. So needing to, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, doing our thing out there, we have to do some inner work, as you're saying, and we have to make time sometimes to process things, slow down before we can speed up. And I think one of the things that stands out to me right now is just that, like, I was thinking a little more about this year in general, 2020, right? And
5 years in one.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about the people I talk to and our community, Health Coach Nation. And a lot of people right now, it's interesting to see how people respond to what's going on around us, right? Because some people right now are like, oh my gosh, this is my time to like step up and lead and do my life work. And we only live once. And, you know, this is my duty to be a servant, be of service, right? So not saying be a servant, but like be of service to people, you know what I mean? And then there's other people who are like, we pull back. Like we're like, I don't know if this is a good time for me to be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what should I get? We get a little lost. We get a little overwhelmed. So
yeah,
it's, I think, and I think you agree, that, as you said, now is the most important time to be doing your life's work and what you're meant to be doing and what you're good at and what brings value to other people.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we have to talk about, though, is what if we have this feeling of I'm not ready or it's not a good time? How do we work through that?
That is probably my favorite stage to not only experience myself, but also to help others look at from different perspectives. So we come to this point where we're like, we may experience so many times, especially if you're starting out as an entrepreneur, but even then, as you grow, there's all kinds of new variables involved. So you constantly have to think and you constantly have to evolve. So if you're in the mindset when you are your own business owner that, okay, so I've figured out something that works and we're just going to stick to this one plan, and then boom, a world crisis happens and it's like, okay, so my A, B, C plans are not enough anymore. I have to evolve. I have to, figure out a new creative outlet, a new creative way to market something, to really find a specific specialty niche, maybe. So the word pivot has been thrown around a lot this year. So I would say when you're in that position, especially right now, because we'll be very specific to real time right now, when you're in that position, step back and say, what is my why, and who am I really trying to reach? Because for me, one thing I want to do is philanthropic. So I want to be able to give annually $1 million to families internationally who don't have clothing, food, or shelter. So when I get up in the morning and I'm like, okay, I don't feel like designing this project. And then I think about all of those families who don't have even the opportunity to create a project. It's like, all right, the energy just comes right on, And so the mindset goes from, I have the opportunity to do this, but I don't know if, I don't know how, or, I'm creating all these limiting beliefs for myself. I empathize with you. I hear you, but let's look at the big picture. If you've got a roof over your head, if you've got clothes on your back, and you've got food in your fridge, and you have a computer and an iPhone, you have almost a responsibility, I'd like to say, to use that innovative mind that you have to figure out a way to get around what is blocking you, right? So this is easier said than done. And like I said, the best way to do this, I truly believe, is to go inward. I'm not just talking about sitting on your bed and thinking about all the different ways that you need to change yourself or fix other people. That is not going to help. What I'm talking about is actually getting in movement. You know, sometimes we sit on a computer as digital entrepreneurs and we don't move. And so we need to get up, do some yoga, do whatever cardio workout that you need, and get outside of your head, and then get your body moving in different ways and in different forms. So yoga, some breath work, and this will actually help change your brain chemistry too. And that would be my first step before we even get into the conversation of, okay, let's talk about your blocks. Let's talk about, all these things and dissect it. I would say, let's get your body moving. Let's get you up and, trying some different angles of movement. So very simple, but that would be the first step. And then the next part is that spirit behind what you're doing. That spirit, there's a spiritual request, I really feel, on our planet right now, where it's like, is this person going to help me because they're interested in my life, because they're interested in improving, and they have a genuine spirit behind what they do? Or am I just another, email on their list? Am I just another way for them to make money so that they can buy a Lamborghini or whatever? You can buy a Lamborghini if you can afford it. I'm not opposed to that, but let's really look at some ways that we can, from a very raw perspective, help daily enhance not only our lives, but also the lives that you're trying to reach. And then lastly, when it comes from a psychological standpoint, I was a counselor for 8 years. From a psychological standpoint, really writing down, what are these struggles? What are these blocks that you're having? Is it specifically marketing and advertising? What are some ways that you can maybe reinvest and learn a new skill? Maybe there's a system in place that hasn't been implemented. Like with Hailey, she's got all of these wonderful, very streamlined, very practical solutions to having an online business that thrives, that gains new momentum. And so having somebody like Hailey in your corner would be one of my first suggestions if it's specifically online business related. So that would be a few different formulas that I would come up with.
Yeah, I love it. I've been taking notes for our show notes. And one of the things I hear is that anytime you have a roadblock, or you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling like I'm not ready, think about how it's not about you, and it's about using your platform to share, bring value, number one. Number two, get out of your head and into your body, as Tim Ferriss likes to say, or whoever said that first quote, right? And also, mindset and movement go hand in hand. And what's your spirit behind what you're doing too? The spirit thing, oh my gosh, that can be such a game changer, because I'll give you an example in a second, but before I do, no, I won't go there, because I will get off track and I forget. So anyways, when it comes to spirit, one of my clients had a goal to get to a certain number of discovery calls per week. And we were talking about, she's like, she was on a great streak, right? And then all of a sudden she was like, I don't know, I'm just out of it, or like, I can't figure out what's going on. And her spirit behind it changed. It changed from, like, I'm so excited, I'm attracting my ideal client, getting these clients, everything, the outcomes were what she wanted, right? And then she had one or two moments where it didn't work out or whatever, and she got discouraged, and her spirit behind it changed to, I just have to book these calls. It's just a number, like, it's just my logistical thing. There was no positive spirit behind it anymore. And once you realize, like, hold on, let's like slow down for a second, digest what's going on, digest why the spirit changed, and we didn't call it spirit, but mindset behind it changed. And then she was able to feel alive again in her business, not be burnt out, move forward, start making progress again. So I think the key is half of being an entrepreneur, you guys, is managing your mindset and managing the roadblocks and the distractions and the noise in your daily life. And this morning I was kind of reflecting on that because, well, there's two things. I reflected because I've been thinking about a lot of things that I do in my business that either burn me out or cause problems, or like, just what am I doing to almost like self-sabotage. And one of the things is sometimes we have to pause and slow down and ask ourselves what's our intention behind something before we actually do that. And then another question I asked myself, just to remember like why I'm doing what I'm doing, is what do I live for? Like, what's important to me? Why am I even doing this whole thing, right? And it's so fun to just brainstorm the ideas that come up. And this supports your idea of writing things down, which is so key, because some of the things I wrote down, I was like, I just love encouraging women to get into motion, get outside of their heads, stop overthinking every single thing that could go wrong, and think about what could go right. Like, that fires me up. You know what I mean? So when we talk about getting out of our own way and going through these steps, what would you say to somebody who is like, all right, I am moving forward, I am making momentum, but I'm not seeing immediate progress, and that's discouraging. So how do we stay in the game and stay motivated when we're doing all the things, but maybe it's not taking off?
One way I would say is to really start to learn about yourself. So one person will really thrive by offering practical solutions. Another person will really thrive by getting artistic and innovative in a creative way. And so understanding your language and what your most optimal way is to communicate to others, and what your best way is to help others, I would say would increase your interest, because maybe the interest for you has been depleted because of something going on in your life or in the world, or the energy behind it. We talked about the spirit, but also the energy behind what you're doing for some reason maybe is stale. And so if that occurs, start looking at ways to kind of feed yourself, and then you'll be able to kind of open up to ways to feed others, because maybe you've been giving a lot of yourself and you sort of lost touch of what you need. And this is not uncommon for entrepreneurs who are one man or one woman shows at times, depending on the level of your business and the amount of team that you have to work with or not. So really being kind to yourself first and foremost, I think that really leaks out into your production and accomplishments with others, and your reach with others. Because if your life is chaos, or if your mind is chaotic, and you're trying to share with others the ways that you're thriving and doing all these things that are incongruent with the energy behind what you're putting out, then it's not going to be credible enough, and people can feel that, and people can pick that up. So I would say taking those times to really look at your greatest asset, which is your own mind, right? Your greatest asset, which is you as a business owner, and determining, is that getting fed well enough? Is that getting built up enough and encouraged enough? And then maybe you take yourself out on a spa date, you go, maybe you just need a little massage, so sometimes we forget we just need a little bit of nourishment to be able to continue producing such high volume results for other people, for so many people that we're helping, and taking that moment to reflect on that.
Yeah, the word incongruent is really powerful, because I just read a quote from the Dalai Lama, and he said that happiness is when your actions, your words, and one other thing I can't remember, actions, words, and mind or something are in alignment. And when we have incongruency or split energy, or we're thinking like, oh, I have to do this because some coach or guru told me I have to do this. But also, it's really important for me to do this, and trying to have the balance. That's when we lose our focus. That's when we feel bad. That's when we just give up. Right. So I think the key is having a fast reaction to when you notice you are incongruent, and saying, what can I do to improve this, or remove the noise, or get things lined up, So what would you say as far as like meditation resources, maybe just like books, things that have changed things that have impacted your congruency and helping you get more aligned?
That's an excellent question, because it's something I continually work on to try and create a freshness in others' lives. So in order to create a freshness in others' lives, I have to make sure that I'm continually doing that in my own. And ways that I do that is really through meditation, breathwork, and yoga every single day. But changing it up and changing, the sequences. So even if you're a CrossFitter or if you're a runner, maybe change the route that you take or the amount of time you spend in it. Maybe you just want to take a walk that day. But really getting your body moving is just biologically what's needed in order for us to shift from one mindset to another. Because if you think about it, you're sitting stagnant and still, then your mind kind of stays like right in that space as well. But if you move and do some different things and, breathes in some different ways, and you're, lifting weights or you're running, whatever the case is, you produce a different level of energy in your body. So there's ways to bring freshness to your business daily, but it requires you to initiate a freshness on your own personal time, in your own body, in your own heart, in your own mind. But one thing I would like to encourage everyone with is to look at how often am I, consuming other people's messages, and what percentage of that almost is what I'm trying to speak out. Because if the percentage is like 50% or higher than your own voice, then your originality and that specific business that you're driving is actually kind of being second voiced by someone else. So read books, pour in the knowledge, pour in all of these different wise guides that you have. Everyone should have a confidant, at least one. Several would be better as a business owner. But that doesn't mean that what they say is, biblical, so to speak. Because really, I truly believe that each individual person has actually the best answer within themselves. And it can be drawn out by others, but it cannot be others. If I speak my truth as what someone else said, and I'm just saying it because they said it, it's really not my truth, and I'm really not able to hear what message I actually have to offer, other people. So that's one way to feel encouraged, is that you actually have it inside of you to be able to do whatever it is that you are wanting to design in this world. So marketing, advertising, and digital designs, those are all very structural and practical solutions. And there are specific systems and things that just add up and measure up, and that build successful businesses. Those things, they don't need to change, right? It's like an Excel sheet. It's like A plus B equals C. You don't need to mess around and get too creative with certain systems that are technological. But when it comes to a person, we're not robots that I'm aware of yet. So it really helps for us to adapt and to be more fluid in our ability to think through different problems, to learn about ways that we can help ourselves and others.
Yes. And one of the things I wrote down is answers only come from yourself or are brought out by others, but others can't give you the answer. That was a profound moment, Arielle. So I like that. I had a typo, but we'll fix it for the show notes. So I think that's a great place to leave it for our audience, because at the end of the day, when it comes to consuming content like they are right now with this, we could tell you, like, step 1, get into motion. Step 2, do journaling, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to find your own groove, and you're going to find your own way of meditation, your own way of dealing with stress. Like my meditation, to me, I don't meditate doing it this normal way, like sitting down and you're just breathing and whatever.
How do you do it? Yeah.
I call my meditation, I don't know, you can disagree, but I just listen to music and I rock around the chair.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, I love
it. But it clears my mind. I'm focused on one thing. Sometimes I visualize, but yeah, I like, and that works for me. Versus when I was trying to do somebody else's model, I was like, that's stressing me out. I'm not liking it, right?
So meditation is just simply mindfulness.
Yeah.
And take a moment to pause.
Yeah, maybe I'm not enlightened yet enough to do it the standard ways, but that's just how I feel. So I want everybody listening to this to just look inward and see, how do I handle things, and how would I like to handle them better, and what in the past have I done to cope or do things in a way that's healthy for me, in a way that allows me to, limit stress and get out of my own way and move forward with confidence. And Arielle, where can people connect with you and find you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website is yourllamalifedesign.com. And also my podcast is Her Brave Initiative. And on Instagram, I am at Arielle Soul, Arielle Soul. And those are some ways that you can reach out to me. And I would love to talk to you, love to be able to connect and go from there.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. And we love having you on the show, and everybody go check her out.
Yeah, thanks, Hailey, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if you liked it and want to reserve your very own free sales audit, go to haileyrowe.com/strategy-call to book your very own free sales audit. On the call, we'll talk more about the common concerns you get from your ideal clients, how to overcome those concerns, how to coach through objections, how to change your mindset around sales, and improve your sales process so you can be closing and converting more clients. I can't wait to connect with you, and go to haileyrowe.com/strategy-call to take the first step. Thanks so much. Have a good day.